Hello and welcome to our podcast series, where we explore the groundbreaking research behind the MatCHMaker project. I'm Cherry Edwards Mawa, and I'm here with my co-host Rafael Speaga.
Hi everyone! This episode focuses on Fascination Concrete, use case 1 of the MatCHMaker project, an initiative that's transforming the way we design and use cement and concrete by integrating machine learning, advanced physics-based models, cutting-edge experimental techniques, and sustainability-focused life cycle assessments.
Cement is one of the most produced materials on the planet, but did you know it's responsible for 5 to 8% of global CO2 emissions? This makes research into low-carbon, high-performance materials more important than ever.
We have an incredible lineup of experts joining us today to discuss how AI, material science, and sustainability are coming together in this project. Let's get started.
To start, let's get a big picture overview of the project. Ludovic, can you introduce yourself and tell us about the goals of the MatCHMaker project?
I'm Ludovic Jason from the Atomic Energy Commission in France, and I'm a research director with background on civil engineering. In MatCHMaker project, I'm the project coordinator, and I'm very proud to be part of it.
Can you give us an overview of the MatCHMaker project and your role as its coordinator?
If I had to summarize the MatCHMaker project, I would say that the main objective is to accelerate the materials design by combining machine learning tools, advanced physics-based models, and advanced characterization methods. And by including life cycle assessment, we also want to have some societal impact by proposing and developing low-carbon processes and materials in the domain of application of the project, namely construction, energy, and transport. My role as coordinator is to facilitate the work of the other partners, and probably the most challenging part is to bring together people from different domains. Imagine people from ontology, standardization, software engineering, experimental work, or numerical modeling, and try to make them work together. So it may be challenging, but it works at the end.
That's fascinating. Now, let's explore the role of artificial intelligence in the project. Andrea, can you introduce yourself and tell us how AI helps in material science?
I am Andrea and I work in MatCHMaker. Coming from the IMAN side, my background is in physics and also in mathematical, let's say, modeling. And here in IMAN, I work in the artificial intelligence group. So my role within the MatCHMaker project is to develop machine learning models in order to correlate the microstructural parameters of coming from an image of the materials, and then correlate this microstructure of the materials with its macroscopic properties. For example, in the case of the cement, to correlate its microstructure with its compressive strength.
That's a game changer. And Christian, you're also working on AI in this project. How do your models work?
Yeah, my name is Christian Brecker. I'm a physicist and I work at the Artificial Intelligence department here at IMAN. And here together with Andrea, we are in the MatCHMaker project working in developing machine learning tools to use in the cement use case. Okay, here we are having the opportunity to develop tools that can extract information from electron microscopy and transmission microscopy images and predict properties, physical properties. No? The main idea is to have this information and for different kinds of compositions of cements and also try to predict the durability of a cement part. Yeah.
Thank you. Could you briefly describe what it's like to work on this project and collaborate with others? To start, who are the key partners you work with closely?
Okay, we are working with several partners, especially with CEA, and we are collaborating the artificial intelligence subject, developing models, and also planning activities on sharing data internally. And also we are working with Syntef, and they are providing the data that we need for our models. Yeah. And is there some other?
Yeah, we we are also working with Simavi
That's right.
because they are building this data in order to have well structured the data repository.
Yeah.
And we have a task there to correlate this with the machine learning models.
Yeah, and to make these models accessible for the public.
And also, I forgot to mention, but we also work with Heidelberg Materials, since they are the partners of the use case which we are working in, which is in the cement use case. So they and Syntef provide us with SEM images and also the EDX images from the different compositions that are being tested for the cement.
The MatCHMaker project brings together an impressive network of researchers and industry experts.
That's a massive collaboration. And Alexandre, from an industry perspective, why is this project important? What makes cement such an interesting and impactful material to study? And what are the key challenges in improving in sustainability and digitalization?
So I'm Alexandre Ouzia, and I'm a research scientist at the Global R&D Department of Heidelberg Materials. I'm in charge of machine learning application at the company and at the R&D department. Within the project, so I'm providing data to other stakeholders who would then analyze and build algorithm. There are, I would say, two answers. First, there is the impact potential. So cement, this gray powder that you mix with water and aggregates to make concrete, is actually one of the most produced material in the world after clean water. As a consequence, it emits 5 to 8% of the global CO2 emissions. So if you can improve this by just a few percent, you will have actually a global impact on the CO2 reduction. So this is, let's say, the applied interest, but also as a scientist, cement is quite a pretty broad playground. You have a lot of open questions and questions which are connecting with other neighboring sciences. So typically the performance of cement is about strength, about rheology, about chemistry. So as you solve particular instance of problem in the context of cement, you are actually solving class of problem which apply to many other materials. And I think this is quite fascinating to discover the laws which are behind the curtain, and these laws are very transversal. One of the main driving force of the industry is how to reduce CO2, and the other challenge is digitalization. So we want to automate all of our processes, but this is absolutely not easy. So we speak a lot of AI and big data these days, but to implement that in the industry or even academia is quite challenging. So why? Because in the first place, you need high quality data. The bottleneck is not to have the latest algorithm, the latest AI fancy technique, is to have in the first place a good data infrastructure, which gives you high quality data on which you can actually retrieve some information. But to have that, you also need the right people. And this means you need people who are both trained in the domain. So you need domain experts, like in our case, cement scientists, but also people who are data scientists at the same time. Because to be able to be critical about the many ways, all the sensors that you put, how they can fail, or the biases that you can have, you need to have some domain expertise. And then to know which algorithm can be used and what they need as input, you need to be a data scientist. So this is, I would say, another challenge. And finally, there is a leadership and management challenge. People have their routine, and to implement the change, you need to change the habits of everybody from the operator up to the top managers. So the MatCHMaker project will help us on building better predictive models, so whether machine learning or physics-based model. And hopefully also it will help us on the data infrastructure part with the so-called ontology engineering. So this is a very new area of research and much remains to be done. But if this works, this could probably be a game changer.
What roles do institutions like TU Wien, SINTEF, CEA Paris and IMAN play in the project? Can you walk us through how data is shared and utilized among the different partners in MatCHMaker?
We could have, I would say, quite a good start with especially TU, so the Technical University of Vienna, and our collaborator also in Norway at SINTEF. We already exchanged some data and some image of electron microscope. Then will be available for analysis by our partner at the CEA in Paris and also IMAN in Spain. So we produce data about the compressive strength of new cement, so cement which emit less CO2 emission. And their role will be at TU Vienna to build the physics-based models, so from which they can basically predict these properties. And at the CEA in Paris, they will build the machine learning models. At SINTEF in Norway, they will analyze the image, the electron image of these new cements, and this input image will be input data for the model at Vienna.
Now, let's get into the research and experimental side of the project. Sigurd, you work with materials characterization at SINTEF. Can you tell us about your role?
I am Sigurd Venner. I'm a research scientist in SINTEF. And I am working on electron microscopy characterization. So I'm acquiring image data and X-ray data for the project, which will be processed to determine what kind of phases are present in cement and connect that to the properties of the material. It's a very much used material, and it's a very versatile material. You can make it in many different ways. You can exchange and substitute the components, put in many different kinds of minerals, and you will still get a material that is basically powder mixed with water, which turns into something solid. It uses very common materials, so it can be used anywhere in the world according to what kind of soil and minerals are present. In a more broadly used term, I would call it materials analysis. We are analyzing materials on a micro and nano scale. So we are taking images and measuring properties, and we are trying to connect that to the macro scale properties like mechanical strength of cement, because all the reasons for these properties lie on the micro and nano scale, usually on the features that we see there. For the cement use case, we have Heidelberg Materials, who are responsible for supplying the material and trying out different ways to synthesize the material, different processing conditions. Then they send the samples to Technical University of Vienna. They are doing mechanical characterization. And we at SINTEF are doing image acquisitions and other experimental data characterization. Then we have CEA or an IMAN who are responsible for data treatments and machine learning algorithms to connect all of these results together in order to predict the properties of the material from the compositions, the way they are treated, and from the microstructures that are created.
How does the interdisciplinary nature of your team contribute to the project's success? And what are the challenges of integrating different areas of expertise?
We are a very versatile team. I mean, coming from very different disciplines. The project is built like everything is connected to each other. We have characterization, modeling, data treatment, life cycle analysis, and we're all part of the puzzle, working towards a common goal. I think it's working nicely, but it will take some years for everything to become connected and a useful part of our current understanding of science and technology.
We also have some amazing young researchers contributing to the project. Sophie, can you introduce yourself and how your research connect with the MatCHMaker project?
My name is Sophie. I'm a PhD student at the Institute for Mechanics of Materials and Structures at TU Wien, and I studied also at TU Wien civil engineering for my bachelor and master degree. And currently I'm working on my PhD thesis. The topic of the thesis is related also to the MatCHMaker research content, so it perfectly fits regarding the content. The main focus is about macroscopic mechanical properties of cementitious materials, focusing especially on cement pastes and mortars. So cement pastes, they contain a binder and water. So the binder can contain OPC, ordinary Portland cement, and also some additional materials. Let's call them supplementary cementitious materials. And once you add water also to the cement paste, you get mortars.
And talking about cement, what do you find most fascinating about cement?
Well, cement paste is so fascinating, or in general cementitious materials, because you can do so many things with them. We can use them in the dental industry to have dental cements, and we can use it for residential buildings and also in large constructions, for example, for dams and tunnel constructions. So everywhere around us we have concrete, cement, and in general cementitious materials.
What are the challenges the MatCHMaker project is addressing with our research?
You know, we have globally an issue with CO2 emissions, and with new cementitious materials we develop by replacing ordinary Portland cement also by limestone and temperature-treated calcined clay. We are able to reduce the CO2 emissions in the cement and concrete industry in the production of these materials. We aim to develop models to predict, for example, the material strength, the cement paste strength, and we can then develop new materials and have an educated guess on the material strength, and we do not have to redo several experiments, but we have a feeling based on the model on how the material strength will develop.
And so we are talking about the environmental impact of the project. So what about the social impact?
Well, it would be fine for the people who live in the houses to know which type of materials are used for the houses. So they may get a feeling on how important it is to have sustainable materials around them, and not just ordinary, traditionally used materials. I think it will take some time until the cement and concrete industry is ready to use also these materials, including the limestone and calcined clay, for tunnel constructions, for example, because we're at the beginning of the research, and we have to understand the material in more detail to be able to use them also for large scale.
How do you and your team collaborate across different locations? And what role do in-person meetings and knowledge transfer play in the project?
We regularly have our online meetings, of course, and we share the data we get from experiments and material characterization, and of course some updates. But unfortunately, we cannot meet that often in person. But in my case, I spent 2 weeks in Heidelberg in summer 2023 to do some experiments there, to have kind of knowledge transfer, because it was the first time I was working with special equipment and on special experiments. So it was very useful and a great time for me to be there And of course, in the collaboration between Heidelberg Materials and TÜV and IMWS, it was a perfect way to focus on the project in 2 weeks and to bring some things to be done for the next months and for the next years.
Thank you, Sophie, for the interesting insights.
It's clear that the MatCHMaker project is pushing the boundaries of materials science, AI, and sustainability.
A huge thank you to all our guests for sharing their insights. If you enjoyed this episode, stay tuned for more updates on how technology is shaping the future of materials science and sustainability.
Thanks for listening. See you next time.